Alright, welcome back to another video. So, today I want to do a vlog. I want to talk about what's been going on with me. It's been heavy. I have gone through a breakup. And I've just been having a crazy, spiritual awakening. And I want to talk about it. I want to be open, and it's therapeutic for me to get it out and to express myself. And, I'm also going to try to inspire and channel some messages. We'll see where it goes. I'm not sure exactly how I want this video to go, but here goes nothing. So, most of you know, who have been following me, I was in a very committed relationship with a man who I thought was my soulmate, and I thought I was going to marry him and have his babies and all those things. I loved him a lot. And we had met on 11/11 in 2019 at a retreat in Costa Rica, spiritual retreat, where we did ayahuasca. And, we became friends, and then we started dating. So we've dated we broke up exactly on our 1-year anniversary. How crazy is that? Exactly to the day. To the day. I didn't think it was going to end that sudden. And I actually didn't think it was ever going to end. Even though we were doing long distance, I'm in Michigan, in the States, he's out in Australia. So we had no way of getting to each other. In fact, we were only able to see each other once right before the pandemic started. So fast forward to a couple weeks ago, we got in an argument, I would say, if you would call it that. And I'm going to tell you guys what happened. And I wasn't sure if I should share this because I was kind of conflicted because it is personal. But the only reason I was holding back was because I was afraid of hurting him, even though he had hurt me. And now I'm like, you know what? I feel like my story could really help other girls and other women. And I feel like it could help me to heal, to express myself. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So we got in an argument. Basically what happened was he said to me, we were on the phone, and he made a joke about, and this is one of my biggest triggers. I've had multiple conversations with him about this. Multiple conversations. If anybody talks down to me and kind of makes fun of me for being ditzy or a blonde, that's just my biggest trigger. And he made a joke. And then he made another joke. And then he made another joke. And I was kind of fake laughing. Which is not a good thing to do, but I was just like, okay, whatever. He doesn't realize this is bothering me. But he kept making the joke, and finally I just said, will you stop? I don't think that's funny. And he went silent. He was like, whoa. And I started crying because I didn't realize it at the time, but I was trying to set a boundary. And I didn't realize that I wasn't good at setting boundaries in that way. If somebody upset me or hurt my feelings, I had a hard time speaking that up because I felt like I was being too dramatic or too sensitive. That was my fear. So what happened? That's how he reacted. He was like, you're being too dramatic. You're being too sensitive. This is your trigger. I didn't do anything wrong. So he was not even wanting to talk to me for 5 days. And that's not something that ever happened in our relationship. We never went that long without talking. And in those 5 days, I started to feel insane. Crazy. And I don't get anger. I don't feel anger like that. This was weird. And I was like, oh, it's that Aries, the moon's in Aries. I'm trying to blame it on astrology. But I was like, no, something is wrong. And my intuition was telling me something was wrong because the way he reacted, because even after that conversation, I sent him a text and I said, hey, look, I was apologizing, which I didn't need to apologize, but I said, hey, I just want to ask you not to make jokes about that anymore. And he didn't respond. The next day, he texted me, but not about that. He's like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't have time. I don't have the time or energy to talk about this. And I was hurt because I was like, why aren't you saying you're sorry? Even if you don't think you did what was wrong, you're not even, there was just no compassion from him and no empathy. I was like, I was crying on the phone. Could you at least just be like, I'm sorry I hurt you? And that was weird to me. And I was realizing that he's done this before. And over those 5 days, it really gave me time to reflect and realize that this wasn't healthy. This wasn't right. And my intuition was telling me something was wrong. But I was going into that normal defensive mode of, oh, it's me, and, I've been in toxic relationships before, so it's my abuse that's being triggered, and, all this stuff. So, something I've realized, too, in my journey is, especially for us empathic women, or empathic people, it could be a guy, it's easier for us to blame ourselves, like, oh, it's my fault, or I did something wrong, because then when we do that, we feel like we have control. And that if it's something wrong with us, then we have the opportunity to fix it. We have the opportunity to change something. If it's the other person, then that leaves us out of our control, right? So I've always been the kind of person to just take the blame and just think it was me and I'm broken and I'm this and I'm that. And there was always a dynamic off in our relationship too. I was always the one that was healing and broken, and he was the one that was way more evolved than me. He always made it seem like that. And I just believed him. So during these 5 days of reflection and a crazy amount of anger where I felt like I wanted to punch a wall and yell and scream, it was wild. And really what was happening during that time, everything was starting to come to the surface from all the times this happened before. I just wasn't aware. I was like, what's wrong with me? In my mind, my intuition was saying narcissist. And I was like, at first I thought it was my ego or my fear, right, saying this. And I was like, no, he's not a narcissist. And it just kept coming through. And I was like, why do I keep hearing this in my mind? So I was like, okay, I was like, I'm going to prove this thought wrong. I'm going to prove this message wrong. And I'm going to I got on TikTok and I looked up the hashtag narcissist. That's what I felt called to do. And what started popping up were all of these videos, of course about narcissism, but they were a specific kind. It was called reactive abuse and gaslighting, which is a type of manipulation. And these women were talking about exactly what I was experiencing. The whole thing from when you are triggered by something and the person that you're with makes you feel bad about it. Makes you feel bad about being sensitive. Makes you feel bad about your emotions. And they're like, I don't need to apologize. I'm just speaking my truth. When a guy says that. And I always believed him before. He's just being who he is. I just need to stop being so emotional. But it's the exact opposite. When somebody does that to you, or when someone does that to me, that's not showing compassion and empathy. Our emotions and sensitivities are messengers from our body. And we need to respect and honor other people's, right? So that whole thing of how he was reacting was abusive. So I started to look into this, and everything resonated, and I just couldn't believe it because I thought that I had left that in my past, being in abusive relationships. I thought I left that in my past. And I was like, I did it again. And that was a hard pill to swallow because I didn't want to admit that I had allowed myself to be in that kind of environment again. But I decided that I was not going to be hard on myself. That I knew that I went through this for a reason, and I'm learning so much, and I'm going to be able to help women on a whole new level now, and I have to embrace this. I can be sad about it, and I can cry, and I can take as much time as I need to heal, but at the same time, I'm not going to be hard on myself. I'm not. I've done that too much in the past. You should have known better. And I can see now, even though it's only been 2 weeks, I can see now exactly why all that happened. I can see that I'm healing and recovering at a faster rate because of all the self-love I've implemented this past year. If I wouldn't have been doing that, I wouldn't have come to this realization, at least not this soon, and I wouldn't have been able to heal so quickly from this breakup. I cried for the good 3 or 4 days afterwards, and then there's no more tears. Not to say I won't cry about it again, because I probably will, because I'm human. And I loved this man with all of my being. All of my being. But yeah, there was a lot of manipulation happening. I remember one time when he said, this was probably after a few months of us dating, maybe even 2 months, he said on the phone that he didn't know if he could spend the rest of his life with somebody that ate the way that I did. The way that I ate. He said that. And I started bawling on the phone because I was like, that was really mean what you said. You don't know if you could spend your life with somebody because of the way that they eat. I was like, I'm not even a bad eater. I was like, am I? And like, no one else has ever said anything. And it just made me feel like an animal. And I told him that. And he was like, well, I'm not being mean. This is just my truth. And this is just how I genuinely feel. And I have to tell you how I feel. And it's like, well, yeah, you do have to tell me. But you don't have to, like, not acknowledge how that hurt me. Like, you need to take responsibility, at least show compassion for the way that I'm feeling. So there was multiple times where he had done that. And so it got to the point after a while in our relationship that I was scared to tell him things that I felt. I was scared to bring up my emotions, and I was scared to talk about certain things because, you know, I felt like it would bother him. And I never, at the time, I didn't see it as abuse because I thought that it was just me, and I needed to not be so sensitive, right? I needed to not be so emotional. And as I went through this process, I started to realize all the things that he had done in the past. And obviously there's a lot of good things that we had in our relationship. There are so many good things that there were. I'm not going to focus on that today. We're not focusing on the highlight reel, right? We're focusing on the, can I call that the low light reel? This is the low light reel, okay? I started to see all of the things that weren't okay, where I just completely gave away my power. When my intuition would come up, and he's very smart, he's a doctor, he's very, very good with his words. So whenever something came up where my intuition said something, he would just make it seem like he was right and I was wrong, and I just went with it. So I completely gave away my power to him. I completely disregarded my own intuition for him. I disempowered myself, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. Until finally, after it happened so many times, my body started to freak out and felt like I was going to explode after that final trigger. I was like, my body knew it was going to happen too, because that whole week prior to this happening, I felt so depressed and so heavy. And after we broke up, I felt so much lighter. And I was like, oh, that's what it was. So this is what happened. I didn't think we were gonna break up that fast. I didn't. I decided, we talked on the phone after that like 5-day period of no talking. We talked on the phone, and I was trying to stick up for myself and be like, I don't think that I was overreacting. And he just literally kept fighting with me about it and just wouldn't apologize, just kept fighting. But not fighting in like we were yelling at each other. We were just talking, but it was just going around in circles of like him not even trying to understand what I was saying. So I was like, okay, I can't talk to you on the phone. And I wanted to confront him that, you know, this was abusive. But I didn't feel safe doing it on the phone because I was in not a strong enough emotional state, because I was sad, because I pretty much knew at this point we weren't going to be together. Because I knew I couldn't be with somebody that was doing this to me, and I wouldn't allow it. I loved myself way too much at this point, and I was like, no, I can't do that. And even if I was to confront him and he was like, oh wow, I am doing this, I'm so sorry, like, I need to heal from this, and I can't do that with you. Like, we would have to heal separately. So I knew at this point it was going to end. But I decided to email him first, and I sent the most loving email that I could. It wasn't like, oh, you're an abusive asshole. Like, it wasn't like that. I don't talk like that. So I sent as much compassion, but I said, look, like, there's this thing called reactive abuse, and that's what I believe is happening, or that's what is happening, because it was like literally the definition of what happened with us. And I said, there's some gaslighting happening. I want you to look up those terms and see if it resonates for you. And, this is how I feel, and this and that. And the letter he wrote back to me, it was so cold. It was so cold. And he was like, I can't be with somebody that thinks I'm abusive. We're done. This is over. And he wrote it like he was quitting a job. Like, it was so formal. And I was like, who is this person? I was like, I just thought he was such a loving, caring person, and the truth is now I can see how he was only good to me when it was benefiting him. and when he felt more superior. And I don't want to be in a relationship like that. I want to be in a very equal partnership. And before I dated him, I wanted somebody that was more superior than me. Because I thought, oh, this person can teach me, and this person, I can learn from this person, which I did learn a lot from him. Good and bad. I mean, it's all good in the end, because it was all growth. But yeah, when he wrote back to me, it was just so cold. And I think he did that because I'm pretty sure that he thought I would have responded differently than I did. Because the old me, even a couple of months ago, I would have responded differently. I would have been like, oh no, I'm sorry, it is my fault, like, don't leave me. Like, I would have been like that. Not that that's a bad thing to do. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. But I'm just saying, I would have been like that. And in this case, I was like, I just responded, and I was sad, but I was like, I understand that we can't be together, and I wish you the best. And after that, it felt like I didn't have enough closure, so we did talk a week later, and we had some closure, and we were able to be civil and everything, and it just gave me extra confirmation that I knew what I did was right, just based off of everything he said. And then a week after that, I cut off complete communication with him, because he wanted to keep the line open, to be friends still, and I was so emotional on the phone, crying, I couldn't even, say no. So I had to wait until I emailed him again and was like, I don't want to ever talk to you again. And that was so hard. That was so hard, because this man I talked to almost every day for a year. He'd become my best friend. So this whole process has been so hard, but I also feel like I can breathe better. It's like I can really be me now. I didn't realize how much I was hiding parts of myself. Not all of myself, but parts of myself. So I'm still healing, and I'm still reflecting, and I'm giving myself a safe space to cry when I need to and reflect. And I've done meditations too, where I've cut cords from him, and I've really just taken time. And luckily the universe has been completely bending in my favor. It always is, but I really see that now, because my business had gotten really slow, everything slowed down this past month or two. Starting to pick up again. But it really slowed down, but I see why. Before the breakup, I was going through so much intense personal growth and healing, and doing so much shadow work and just healing and resting, and I mean, it was so intense. And then that happened, and I was like, oh, I was basically getting ready for that so I could actually handle it. And then it happened. I don't think ill of him. I wouldn't say I'm mad at him. I think I'm really sad for him. I know why he is the way he is, because he's told me about his past and his childhood, and I know, I get it, I can see it all. I literally, when I tell you I can understand and see everything that's happened in our relationship, I can see it. Spirit, my guys were like, here you go. Here you go. I'm like, oh. He's been through a lot of pain in his life, and I hope the best for him. I hope that he can learn how to connect with his inner child and find compassion and empathy and heal. But I can't be a part of that. I can't help him. I can pray for him. I can send him some good vibes, which I will do on occasion. But I need to focus on myself, and I need to trust that not only does the universe have a beautiful plan for me, but it also has a beautiful plan for him. And he has spirit guides, and he has spirit guides and his spirit team, and is going to help him in the way that they can. And he is living this life and his purpose for his reason. And I found acceptance in that, which is really beautiful. I still love him. It's not the same kind of love that it was. I'm definitely in shock of how I've handled this so well. You should have seen me after my last breakups. Woo! It was bad. I fell apart completely. Especially after my first heartbreak. Oh my gosh, I swear I was heartbroken for a year. And I only dated the guy for 2 months. My first boyfriend. He was the first. He was definitely a narcissist, the first one I dated. But guys, when I preach self-love and how to do everything that I'm doing, it works, because look at me. I'm honestly doing well. You guys know I'm real with you. Most of you that watch my channel, you know I'm real. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm doing good. I'm excited for all of the unknown, right? Because when I was dating him, my whole life, I planned to move to Australia to be with him and to get married and raise a family and to continue to grow my business, of course, but that was my plan. And now I'm like, oh, like I need a whole new plan. And I don't know what that entails at all right now. I really don't. I know that I'm going to continue to grow my business. And I know that there's amazing things in store. But as far as finding my own place and where I'm going to be living, there's just so many things I have no idea. But I'm totally okay with that. There's times where I do freak out a little bit. I have moments where I'm like, okay, what's going on, everybody? Then they're like, keep trusting. I'm like, okay. And then a few days later, okay, I'm trusting. What's going on? What's happening? Okay, keep trusting. Oh, there's a sign. Oh, there's a blessing. Okay, things are moving along. You know, it's kind of been like that process for me. That's why people say, or I say too, that you really need to love yourself before you get in a relationship. And while I did love myself while I was in that relationship, I didn't fully trust myself. And I feel like those kind of go hand in hand. So I loved myself, but I didn't fully love myself because I didn't trust myself. Like, how can you fully love somebody that you don't trust? So if you're not trusting in yourself and your intuition, it's not great to get into a romantic relationship. It's not the best idea. You have to know yourself. And now, coming out of that, I feel like I know myself on a whole new level. And my intuition has been so strong. My readings are so much better. And I feel more authentic. I feel like I just trust more in the universe because I trust now more in myself. And I'm still building this. I'm still building this energy. It's like building quickly, I feel. Much more quickly than it has in the past, or maybe I'm just more aware of it. But I just want to say to any of you that are in a relationship with a man or a woman that isn't letting you express yourself completely, or that's making you feel bad about how you feel, or you're recording your conversations with them, like these are all red flags, or you're Googling how they're treating you. Right? Because that's what I did. I was like, why do I keep feeling narcissist? And I was like, oh, I'm not saying he's a narcissist. I'm pretty sure he is. But he was doing narcissistic things, regardless of the label. And why was I attracted to that, right? Well, yeah, I didn't trust myself, but I'm also a people pleaser. I'm an empath. I have a very open mind. So when somebody tells me something, I can always see their perspective. So whenever he did fight me on something, or, manipulate me with something, I could always see his point of view, because I can see all the point of views. And while that's a great thing to have, when you have that open mind, you really have to practice your discernment more and trusting yourself more, because otherwise you'll just get lost in all of it, and other people's views and other people's opinion. You won't honor how you feel. So don't let anyone ever tell you that you're being too dramatic, or that you're being too sensitive, or that you need to toughen up, or anything like that, because your emotions are beautiful. They're messages from your body communicating to you. And some have them stronger than others. So if you have more sensitivities, it means you have a stronger messenger. It's a little more uncomfortable, but you have this beautiful communication that you can use to your advantage, and learn to love that side of you, not resist it. Sometimes when we feel too much as empaths, we tend to resist because it's overwhelming. And sometimes that's okay to resist and have some healthy distraction, but you have to spend some of the time embracing it, finding the balance, and letting go of caring what people think of you. that's been a very long process for me, and I'm still in the process of it. Because for me growing up, I just cared way too much. I was scared to even talk because I was afraid of saying anything that sounded stupid. And now I just talk about everything. I just let it out. Feels good. So yeah, I'm healing from an abusive relationship. When this first came to my realization, there was that fear that like, oh, I shouldn't tell people that follow me because I'm a leader. You know, people look up to me, and I shouldn't be letting them know that like I was letting a man treat me like this. Like they're gonna think like they shouldn't look up to me, or they shouldn't confide in me, or they shouldn't do this. And it's like, yeah, but I'm human, and like everyone has something they experience, and everybody does this. Nobody doesn't have anything like this. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm just saying, like, I was like, no, I'm not going to let that fear hold me back from sharing my story. I'm not going to let my fear of what, my ex thinks about this video, or about that people are going to look down on me. If they are, then that's fine. Like, if you think that, like, I don't have the ability to help you on your path, then, like, don't follow me. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, that's fine. I wish you the best. Like, go find somebody that helps you, and peace out. Much love. Like, I don't... Now I'm a rapper all of a sudden. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I want people in my tribe that embrace vulnerability, no matter how painful it is, to talk about it, and to feel safe here on my channel, to express themselves. And, like, if I do a session with you, I want you to feel completely safe to talk about anything that you've been through, because I'm not going to judge you. I'm not. I used to judge people in the past. I did. I judge people because I judge myself. But now I don't judge myself. So I'm not going to judge you. See how that works? See how that works? That's why we have to go within. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't even know how long I've been filming, but yeah, I'm excited. My readings are getting better and better, so I'm probably going to raise my prices soon because my guides are telling me to, and it feels right. So if you do want to book a session with me, you might want to book it now. I also do a special, which I don't really talk about a lot, but if you book 3 sessions with me, you save like $60. So if you do want to buy like a package, just email me and I'll let you know. Because my full sessions are $120. So if you buy 3 sessions, it's going to be $300. If you buy them like up front, what happens is it charges you monthly on your card, the program I use. So if you want to do anything like that, I'm here for you guys, and I'm stronger than ever, and I am ready to make more content. And I'm also probably gonna start a Patreon soon. So if you want to support me too, I'm excited for that. Like in the next month or so, I feel called to do that. So anyways, let me know if you guys can relate to anything I'm talking about. I want to know. I'm gonna give you support. I want to connect with you, and I'm here. I'm here. I love you all so much. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Mwah! Bye.